Hello and a very warm welcome to Meghan and Harry News YouTube channel. Every day there is another insane article from the completely toxic media. You think that these people have sunk as low as can be, but they seem to always have the ability to find even more depths of craziness. They have no shame. Many of these reports and reporters are given the go-ahead by the firm, otherwise they would be too scared to mention members of the royal family. So we can only assume that the insanity runs all the way to the top, or should I say bottom. Here we see royal family warned to keep Prince George away from Prince Harry. So they even want to bring children now into their toxic media smear campaign. That's how low they have gone. It says here, Prince William and Princess Catherine have been strongly advised to keep their eldest son, Prince George, away from his uncle, Prince Harry. The Duke of Sussex former biographer, Angela Levin, made the stern warning to the royals in a desperate bid to keep George, the second in line to the throne, from walking a similar path to Harry. Angela Levin, a royal reporter who frequently appears on Dan Wootton and seems to spend her days talking to media platforms about complete negative nonsense regarding Meghan and Harry. She spends 99% of her time talking about Meghan and Harry, who have left the royal family, and 1% of her time talking about the others. She is clearly assigned to smear their name every moment. Either that or she is obsessed. Who is being quoted by the media all over the world. These media platforms never seem to look back into the past, into the long line of things she has said, and seen that most of it is either complete pie-in-the-sky speculation or has been flat out shown to be untrue. It continues, she says Kate and William are there to help him, George, Levin told OK magazine, but he needs to be kept away from Harry's negative influence. George doesn't have a dysfunctional family, unlike William and Harry growing up, so he should fare better. Kate and William are there to help him, but he needs to be kept away from Harry's negative influence, she added. Well, Angela is very wrong there. George doesn't have a dysfunctional family. Well, the royal family is the most dysfunctional, messed up family you could find. I think she needs to take a refresher course in the recent history of the royal family and the scandals. Prince Andrew comes to mind. George doesn't have a dysfunctional family, she must be out of her mind. One of the reasons Harry and Meghan left the royal family was to get away from the toxicity of the family and the establishment that surrounds it. They didn't want their children growing up in that toxic, dysfunctional system. Angela Levin has many skeletons in her closet. One only has to go into Twitter and do a search to find out these. But unlike her, we won't be sinking to the low levels she dwells in. Let me know your comments below. This is how the media really works, is the title of this video. We have a clip of a journalist talking about how her bosses tried to manipulate her into writing negative stories on Meghan. It's a clip from a year or so ago, but it's worth revisiting with all of the fallout that is happening at the moment, and I'll show you that clip in a minute. While the firm are colluding with the toxic media, dreaming up elaborate stories to paint Meghan and Harry in whatever negative story they have dreamed up for today, while they are up to their usual skullduggery, Meghan and Harry are busy making announcements about supporting charities. In an announcement on their Archwell website, they announced their support of Equimundo. In an announcement on their Archwell website, it was confirmed that the organisation had supported Equimundo, a charity that aims to engage men and boys as allies in gender equality, in releasing a new report. This report found a growing proportion of men assisting in childcare duties across the 17 countries that it surveyed. Summarising the report, which can be read in full here, Archwell wrote, the 2023 data shows that men are increasingly involved in caregiving and would like to increase their care work at home, although deeply ingrained social norms and lack of supportive policies and power structures discourage them from doing so. The report recognises care work as the bedrock of society and calls for continued advancements towards gender equality. It also emphasises the need for media representation that normalises men's caregiving roles. The news comes just weeks ahead of the Duchess of Sussex's 42nd birthday. Now, here is that clip of a journalist talking about how when she was working at a tabloid, she had her arm twisted, or how they tried to persuade by her boss to write negative nonsense about Meghan, irrespective of the truth.
A journalist about how the media inflames this. I was called by the Sun newspaper. If you don't know what the Sun is, it's sort of
got the topless girl on page 3. That's all you need to know.
And they called me about a month ago to ask if I'd write about how Meghan was like Wallace and how Meghan was going to destroy the royal family and the arguments between Meghan and Kate. And I said, I'm really sorry, I'm just not privy to all of this. I don't think I could do it. And the commissioning editor was really twisting my arm to write this article and say, but you could say, couldn't you, that X happened, and you could say that she's fired all her staff, and you could say that Kate has said this. And I said, well, I'm really sorry, I don't know that, I can't do it. And this conversation went on for about half an hour, and I didn't write the article, but it just gives you an insight into how this whole thing is being, the flames are being fanned by the media,
You've heard the phrase cottage industry, this is a palace industry. Yes.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Meghan and Harry News YouTube channel. So, Byline Times have released more information in regards to Dan Wootton, one of the main presenters who attacked Meghan and Harry constantly, and as mentioned earlier, has connections with the firm. Here we see Dan Wootton was a serial bully at The Sun, but bosses promoted him as complaints were silenced. So, this has all the hallmarks of someone who is protected by the establishment. We won't go into all the sordid details of this allegations. I'll leave a link to the second part of the article below in the comments and description, but what interests me is the links to the firm. As someone said on social media, why is every scandal in the UK tabloid press always lead to the royal family? Byline Times have been talking to quite a few people behind the scenes, it says here. Byline Times have now spoken to multiple former editorial and support staff at Britain's biggest tabloid, many of whom are fearful of being identified after their experiences working at Murdoch-owned News UK, which, with one left suicidal, another suffering stress-induced hair loss, and others deserting the industry. If you read the article, it is a long list of people who have been affected by Wootton, but what is interesting is this connection mentioned here. It says, the list of complaints about Wootton did not stop News UK from promoting him and giving him pay rises, and even more prominent positions at the newspaper. But he had a decisive falling out with the current editor, Victoria Newton. In February 2020, on her first day in the role, Wootton left Newton furious by demanding she promote him, prompting a cute move by the new editor, who reached out to Wootton's best remaining royal contact and placed them on a special retainer, ensuring that they dealt exclusively with her. A source said this was the beginning of the end for Dan at The Sun. He didn't like having the same move pulled on him that he had done to so many other contacts of other people. Now, who is Victoria Newton, who he fell out with, and who stole his best remaining royal contact? Which means someone you pay money for information. Well, this is Victoria Newton here with Charles, and interestingly enough, it was Sun editor Victoria Newton that was picked to spend the day with him, his last day as the Prince of Wales. And wasn't it Victoria Newton, the same editor who passed Jeremy Clarkson's vile, misogynist article about Meghan Markle, resulting in a record number of complaints to Ofcom? Yes, it is. It is the same Victoria Newton. As already stated, why is every scandal in the UK tabloid press always lead to the royal family?